Everybody, Resmatter here, and welcome to part 5 of my Corpse Party Book of Shadows Let's Play. In the last episode, took control at the beginning of Yoshiki and Ayumi, and in like the original Corpse Party, at one point Ayumi got taken over by a spirit and went crazy and ran off. And in the process, Yoshiki met up with Mayu. They searched for a bit, found a girl named Nana, who is also looking for her friends, and judging by some of the bodies we found, her friends did not survive. And found Ayumi, had a very heartwarming scene with Yoshiki bringing Ayumi back, and they're all together now and on the search for clues as to how to get out of the school. So we're going to get back into that, take control of the group, and see what we can learn next, and find out if we're going to be losing anybody in this one, so let's go. Okay, yes, so here we are in the reference room, and I'm going to show you guys right now. I'm at almost 50% darkening. Not great. Not great, so hopefully I can try and avoid looking at more bodies and not having Mayu go at 100% darkening. Nothing on the shelf seems particularly relevant. Oh, immediately as I say that, there's a dead body, so the darkening's gonna go up a little bit. It's a girl's body, seemingly junior or senior high. It's mostly decomposed down to the skeleton at this point. There's a duffel bag on its side next to her with a tracksuit partially hanging out of it. And her student ID name tag is still clearly visible on her uniform. Momijigawa High School. Ow. That was one of... That was one of the people that Ayumi was talking about before, right? About, like... the friend, like the friends who is like, I love you and I will be with you forever or something like that. The name sounds familiar. Ao Amano. It's hard to keep track of like all of the dramas going on with all of these students and their relationships with each other. There are numerous scrapbooks on the shelf, each containing various newspapers and newsletter clippings. One in particular stands out. It's an old school 3-ringed binder filled with articles that are all over 30 years old.
1973年、天神小学校児童連続誘拐殺害事件。天神小学校ってこの学校だよね。
その事件の記事、どっかの教室にもあったな。
Dashing the hopes and prayers of their concerned parents, 3 of the kidnapped children return home tonight in body bags. Local police gave an official statement at around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Yuki Kano, 11, Ryo Yoshizawa, 8, and Tokiko Tsuji, 7, previously reported missing, were found dead in a basement room beneath the school. Circumstances behind their murders are still under investigation, and a suspect with ties to the school's teaching staff is in questioning. First responders reported a shocking, grisly murder scene, and have expressed concerns at even allowing the families of the deceased to see their children. Significant mutilation is said to have occurred, and officials believe the sight of this may exasperate the already delicate mental states of the bereaved. The sole survivor of this unspeakable crime is 7-year-old Sachiko Shinozaki, who remains in shock from the experience. Her testimony may prove invaluable towards closing this case and putting this horror behind us, however, so police are anxious to question her. Meanwhile, other parents have already begun calling Heavenly Host safety procedures into question. In the wake of this tragedy, members of the PTA have... There's a snippet from another page as well, which includes photographs of the 3 victims as well as the lone survivor.
この子たち、私が見た子だ。
Like, even like the normal pictures of them, the other kids look so normal, and then Sachiko just looks like your stereotypical Japanese ghost girl.
俺たちも見たぜ。ここで殺されて、それでたたってやがんのか。
ひどい事件だったんだね。私、最初見た時からあの子たちが怖くて、悪い霊みたいに思ってたけど、この子たちも被害者なんだ。
Oh, Mayu, you say this until you go splat against the wall.
鈴本さん、同情心は危険よ。霊の中には生前の人格を失っているものもあるの。
今のこいつらは生きている人間にとって味方じゃねえってことか。
犯人はどうなったんでしょう。あ、こっちのページに記事があるよ。
Accused child murderer commits suicide. 32-year-old former teacher believed to have committed the now infamous adolescent kidnappings and murders was found dead early yesterday morning, after being deemed mentally unfit to take responsibility for his actions. He was placed in intensive psychiatric care but escaped 2 nights ago. The psychiatric ward commissioned a manhunt which culminated in the discovery of his hanged body in a room. Heavenly Hosa. Oh, he was a teacher. I thought he was a janitor for some reason. Huh. I remember that, like, the principal threw himself off the roof of the school. Near the site of his shocking triple homicide, the cause of death was ruled as strangulation and is strongly believed to be self-inflicted. As this appears to be a show of remorse, previously thought beyond his mental capacity, his psychiatric ward has come under heavy fire since the discovery.
犯人も自殺かよ。救いがねえな。遺族にとっちゃ多少は気が晴れるかもしんねえけど。
女の子が一人助かったのがせめてもだよ。でも変ね。こんな大きな事件なのに、その生き残った子の家族のコメントが
And is nobody gonna comment on the fact that it's Sachiko of which this entire the charm was based upon?
どの記事を見てもあるのは殺された子たちの遺族や同級生の保護者の談話ばっかり。
Does Ayumi know the story behind Sachiko? Because a girl that, you know, was almost killed by apparently some crazy child murderer, it seems like kind of a weird person to have a charm based on that will keep you together forever as friends.
プライバシー保護とかで書けなかったんじゃねえの？
そうなのかな。マスコミって被害者も加害者も関係なく取材して書き立てるイメージなんだけど。
Dr. Tomogichi Fukare's research records. Mesmer's magnetism. Correspondence with Anna Sprengel. Seraphita. Maleficarum. Voynich manuscript.
心霊学者の記録に魔術結社の通信文、神秘小説の古典。小学校の備品とは思えないわ。貸し出し用の番号シールがないからこの学校の本じゃないよ。そうね。多分ここに迷い込んだ人たちの。本の持ち主の蔵書印が押してある。キビキって読むのかな。
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's Naho's books, aren't they? Kibiki? Was that her last name? I can't remember. It was Naho.
どれどれ
Yeah. Oh, wait.
本当だ。この人も有名よ。
Ah, that's right.
さっき
Okay.
名前が出た佐榎木奈穂さんの師匠と呼ばれてる作家の先生。響先生もここにどうして？
And then there was wasn't there a cameraman who was just got caught up in all this? Like that poor guy. He was one of the ones I felt the most sorry for in the first game. It's just like this just poor camera guy who never could have imagined he would get caught up in stuff like this. Okay, is there anything else at all for me to look at other than the body? I mean, that thing that we found, I'm guessing that would be the most important thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get out of here then. I'm at 51% darkening. Okay, we are officially over halfway past the point of no return. It's just weird to see them all smiling in this situation.
携帯の時計信用してもいいのかな。確かに空間が変化するってことは時間が変化してるとも考えられるから。
俺の腹具合から判断すると晩飯済ませて早いやつなら布団に入ってる頃かもしんねえな。
お腹空きました。
Now don't start devolving into cannibalism just yet, guys.
できれば食べ物も探さなきゃね。その前にどこかでちょっと休憩しよう。そうしてもらえると私も助かるかも。霊障っていうほどじゃないけど妙に体が疲れてるみたい。
And so the 4 of us headed to the safest spot we could think of, settling in for a bit to help calm our spirits and refresh our bodies. Almost immediately, both Kishinuma and Shinozaki sat down, closed their eyes, and fell fast asleep. Understandable considering what they just experienced.
二人とも眠っちゃったみたいね。きっと疲れてるんですよ。岸沼さん、あゆみさんを助けるためにいろいろ頑張ってましたし。
I wonder if Mayu's a little jealous that those two found each other and she still hasn't found Shig yet.
ナナちゃんも疲れたでしょ？はい。けど、なんだか眠れなくて。
I wonder if Nana's gonna ask her, be like, can you be honest with me? Did you find my friend in that hole where you found that holy water?
ナリちゃんたちが今頃どうしてるのかって考えると、今すぐ走り出したいくらいです。わかるよ。私もシゲ兄のことを考えるとすごく焦ってくるっていうか、今すぐ顔見たくなっちゃう。あれ、ナナちゃん、その足。
I felt a chill in my stomach as soon as I saw them. They were the same bruise-like markings around Nana's slender thighs that I'd seen before, but they'd become much darker in color. Oh no, is she darkening? She's being taken over by the darkness, and maybe Nana's gonna snap. Maybe try and kill them or something. They looked pink originally, as if she just rubbed her skin up against something, but now they were a deep dark purple, the color of grapes.
大丈夫？痛くない？あざならさっきからありましたけど。
Oh, I don't like that sound in the back.
そうじゃなくて、なんか濃くなってるから。ほんとだ。変な色になってる。なんだろう。内出血してたから時間が経って変色したのかな。
Is Mayu gonna show her
ご
stomach?
めんね。あんまり気にしない方がいいね。でも跡が残ったら嫌だな。ナナちゃん美脚だもんね。そんなことないですよ。スタイル良くて羨ましいな。私もナナちゃんくらい身長があったらシゲ兄と釣り合い取れるのに。彼氏さんですか？そういうのじゃないんだけど、大事な人かな。いつも近くにいてくれて、私のダメな部分も受け入れてくれて、私を支えてくれる人。素敵な人なんですね。私にとってはね。同じ演劇部だからってわけじゃないけど、王子様なんだよ。岸沼くんなんかに言わせると悪い魔法使いらしいけどね。
Well, I mean, once Shig gets corrupted a little bit, he kind of does become like a, I wouldn't say evil, but he becomes a creep.
岸沼さんってやっぱりあゆみさんのこと。あれ、気になる？ナナちゃんってば。あ、違います。そういうんじゃ全然。ごめん、お約束だからつい。でも実際のとこ、岸沼くんにとっては厳しい状況なのよね。ライバルがいるから。
Yeah, we barely like mentioned Shuichi at all.
お似合いなのに。似た者同士でもあるのよね。
Or Satoshi, Shuichi. Jesus, I can't keep up with these names.
まゆさんも森重さんの前では素直になれなかったりするんですか？だからそういう人じゃないってばもう。でも自分でもよくわからないな、この気持ち。しげ兄に会ったらどうしたいんだろう、私。岸沼くんみたいに抱きしめてほしいのかな。それとも頑張ったなって頭撫でてもらいたいのかな。やっぱり実際会ってみないとわかんないや。会えますよ、きっと。岸沼さんがあゆみさんに会えたみたいに。ありがとう。持田くんもゆかちゃんや中島さんと会えてるといいな。先生も篠原さんもみんなで帰って文化祭の時撮った写メ交換して。私もみんなと会いたいな。ごめんね。私ってば自分の話ばっかり。私ちょっと その辺見てきますね。お手
Oh
洗いも
no.
行きたくなっちゃったし。
Oh no, that's a double no. That's a double no. You want to separate from the group and you want to go to the bathroom. Those are the two worst things you could do.
一人で危ないよ。ちょっとだけですから。
Ugh, famous last words, god damn it. Goodbye, Nana. It was nice knowing
友
you.
達の
You
こと
seem
を
like a
思い
nice girl.
出してじっとしていられなくなっちゃったのかな。
鈴本、
起きてたの岸沼くん。
一緒に行ってやってくんねえか。念のためにさ。
そうだね。岸沼くんは篠崎さん見ててあげて。
Oh, I can... Why do I have a feeling everybody's gonna get separated again? Like there's gonna be another earthquake and they're just gonna get broken up into small groups again.
すまない。なんかあったら、でけえ声で呼べよ。篠崎叩き起こして飛んでっからよ。
暗いから篠崎さんのろうそく一本借りるね。
危ねえから、小笠原見つけたらすぐ戻ってこいよ。
Okay, well, what's waiting for us here? Oh man, I'm a little nervous. The bathroom felt empty. There was no indication of Nana's presence whatsoever.
ナナちゃんと入れ違いになっちゃったのかな。
God damn it.
ナナちゃんどうしたの。ナナちゃん。
Well, we saved her only for her to get taken out. The sound that echoed throughout the hall was like that of a butcher slicing up a large chunk of meat, bone and all. And the sound was accompanied by the dimly lit figure of Nana sprawled out on the ground in front of me. Or, rather, part of Nana. Oh god, it was really just the top half of her body, severed cleanly at the thigh. Oh no, am I gonna have to run? Is there gonna be a chase scene in this game? Her legs were completely gone. Oh, poor Nana. She just seemed like such a sweet girl. Oh boy, like, that was one of the things that kind of freaked me out the most about Corpse Party, is I do not like chase sequences. So I'm kind of hoping there isn't going to be one here. I don't know how it would work, but we're going to find out. And the worst part was she was still fully alert and aware. This grisly sight was too much for me to handle. I became weak in the knees and fell backwards, landing on my butt. I couldn't move. Nana was bending and contorting her back and writhing on the ground as if struggling to escape the pain and fear. I wanted to help her, but I had no idea what I could do. Nothing had ever prepared me for a situation like this. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't even think. The sight of Nana's squirming body gushing blood every which way was burning itself into my mind. It was the most frightening thing I'd ever seen. I'm gonna say, how is Kishinuma not hearing this right now? Like, how, because he said, yell for us if you need help. Like, I have to imagine if you get your legs cut off, you're gonna be screaming. Like, how is he not? I could sense the presence of another person in the shadows just behind Nana's torso. Who was it? The darkness was all-encompassing past a certain point, giving only the vaguest notion of a human silhouette within an inky black void. I was gonna say, what the heck was she doing over there anyway? She wasn't even close to the bathroom. That door should have led into the pool locker room, but the lighting, or lack of it, was completely wrong. There was also an indescribably foul odor wafting out from within, so powerful and revolting I felt it could never leave my senses again. And whatever being was lurking in the shadows, that horrible room was getting closer to me, step by step. Oh boy, oh boy. I still couldn't make out a single feature, but frankly I didn't want to. His existence alone was threatening enough. Whoever this was, I could sense his shadow posturing itself over Nana's head, as if preparing to swallow it whole. like a crocodile. In fact, the shadow was beginning to resemble a crocodile more and more. Was this even a person? Oh, fuck! It's just so creepy to see like an actual enemy in front of me that's not a ghost. Oh god, what am I gonna do? The figure was now fully visible and was indeed a person, I think. He grabbed Nana by the head and turned and began dragging her into that horrid room. She was clearly nearing death as it took everything she had to scream in protest. Her voice was getting weaker and her writhing less pronounced. I couldn't even imagine how painful it must be to have one's severed body slowly dragged across the floor, exposed side down. Ugh, god. It would be bad enough just having my head held in that massive, filthy grip. No, grip isn't the right word. It really was more like a bite. Well, I guess at least he's ignoring Mayu. We saved you once already. Sorry. You only get one. Am I actually gonna have the choice to go in there or not? I'm sorry, girl. Like, even if we can save you, you're gonna bleed out. Like, there's no saving you. Stop, please. I don't want to die. Don't kill me. These were the panicked primal screams of a person's last moments on Earth. The sound no one should ever have to hear, much less produce. And once you hear it, it's the kind of thing you'll be hearing again for the rest of your life. Nothing can ever wipe it from your memory. It stays with you. I sat there dumbfounded, so disturbed that I could barely breathe and watched the slow slither of Nana's body as she disappeared into the unknown. It only took a few seconds for her to vanish into blackness, but those were the longest few seconds of my life. And once she was gone, only a wide swath of blood remained, tracing her path down the hall and across that hellish threshold. Oh my god, Mayu's actually gonna try and save her. Are we gonna have a choice? Oh, well, maybe. Oh my god, she's just running in? Mayu, what are you doing? Gathering all my courage, I ran at full speed toward the black void, but found no room to enter. Beyond the door was nothing more than a solid wall. Did the school change enough that she got mistaken about where the bathroom was to trick her into walking right into that guy? Or did maybe she hear the sound of one of her friends coming from that room and she went in to investigate? What? No, where is she? Where was she taken? It was just as Shinozaki had said. Right before my eyes, a human being was pulled into a space that simply no longer existed. Pulled out of reality. And yet, I could still hear her. I can't even describe how frightened I was. All I could do was scream and take off running, away from there. Anywhere else was preferable. Why am I going this way? Nana isn't this way. She's behind me. I need to go back. I need to save her. I need to save Nana, but I'm just getting farther and farther away from her. Oh. Oh, is that a hint about... It's like her stomach! Oh. It's like when you see that spot, it's like that's where you're... Is that implying that's where you're gonna get hurt later. Because, well, I mean, Mayu's whole body got splattered, but like they talk about how her innards were spilling out and stuff. She's got on her stomach, Nana had on her legs. We were just talking with her, and now look what's happened. Her legs were torn right off, right along the lines of those bruises. Wait, the bruises. Oh, Mayu, and she's realizing that her stomach. What's wrong with me worrying about myself at a time like this? But I can't help it. I opened my compact mirror and hesitantly brought it down to my abdomen, lifting my shirt and loosening my skirt a bit to get a better look. I didn't have to look very hard. Oh, and then I guess the darker it gets, that means the closer that she is to dying. The color of the bruise on my abdomen had darkened significantly. It was far more pronounced now, practically pulsating in purplish red. It looked more like some kind of demented crest that had surfaced from deep inside my body. It's darker, more clearly outlined, and it looks bigger now, too. I just kept telling myself that. It would go away on its own. It was nothing. I was starting to believe it. Feeling somewhat placated, I lifted the mirror up and prepared to shut it and put it away when I caught a quick glimpse of my face. I saw fear. I saw sadness. I saw defeat. But I also saw something else. No. No. At first, I doubted my eyes, but I wasn't seeing things, nor was it a smudge on the mirror. It was another discolored bruise, just like the one on my abdomen. It was nowhere near as dark, but it was definitely there, and given enough time, it would probably get a lot darker. I tried spit shining it away with my finger, but all it did was make it wet. And each time I pressed down on it, the surrounding skin would turn white, creating greater contrast and making it stand out more. It wasn't going away. It wasn't going away. And if it just kept darkening... Oh, I might wind up like Nana. Torn apart at the seams. Oh, so we heard that, but not all that stuff with Nana. Then again, I guess she was pretty far away from them, but still.
なんか声聞こえたから気になってよ。小笠原はまだ見つかんねえのか？
心配ね。今からみんなで探し。鈴本さん？ダメ。来ちゃダメ。
I took a step back away from them, despite myself.
どうしたんだよ？
何かあったの？その鏡に何か。なんでもない。何も映ってない。平気だから。私。
No, I couldn't let them see me like this. I didn't want them to see that hideous bruise.
おい、鈴本！
鈴本さん。
Kishina was like, why does everyone run from me?
また逃げてる私。でもどこへ。あざを消さなきゃ。これを消さないと。でないと私ナナちゃんみたいに。
Wind up like Nana. Oh, the nurse's office. Oh, no. No, Mayu, this is like the last place you want to be. No. I had some concealer in my makeup bag. Maybe I could hide it.
これなら見えないよね。あんなあざちょっと寝て目を覚ましたら治ってる。絶対に。
It's just gonna go through the concealer, I'm guessing. All I have to do is get some sleep, and when I wake up, that bruise will be long gone. I know it will. Yeah, I was just getting all worked up over nothing. Just a little mark on my face, after all. Probably just a result of all the stress I've been feeling here. Once things calm down, it would go away for sure. Oh no, I hate it. I hate that I'm here. I'm so nervous that if I look around somewhere, there's just gonna be like somebody standing there that wasn't there before, because I know that Mayu in the nurse's office is not a good place for her to be. Welcome back. Oh, that's so creepy. Oh, it's so creepy. Oh, it's like they know that she's just repeating her fate. Okay, what's she at here for darkening? Ooh, 56%. Okay. Can we leave, please? Or not? Oh no. Oh no. I don't remember closing the door. Ah, no, 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 no. It wouldn't open. And it wasn't like it was locked. Rather, it felt almost as if someone were holding it closed with superhuman strength. Oh, the hair. The damn hair. Suddenly I realized why. The door was wrapped multiple times over with thin black threads. How had I not noticed this a moment ago? The bathroom and the nurse's office, the two places you do not want to be in this school. Oh no. I looked at it a bit more closely and concluded without question that that's exactly what it was. Felt an unpleasant heat radiating all along my back muscles, across my entire spine. I was being watched. There was some sort of moist, lukewarm presence in the room with me. Slowly but surely I could sense it moving. Who's there? Who's behind me? I was too scared to turn around. I was a little girl wearing a red dress, probably a first or second grader. Her skin was as pale as pottery, contrasting with her liqueur-like hair. She looked somehow familiar. This is the girl from the newspaper who survived the murders. Sachiko. Shinozaki. I realize now what I was saying, like, how has nobody come to the conclusion, like, why did nobody, like, freak out over the name Sachiko showing up in that newspaper? You know, although, when you think about it, there has to be a connection between the Sachiko charm and showing up at a place where a girl named Sachiko was almost killed. It's not like she's the only girl in the world named Sachiko. I can kind of understand why they don't make that connection right away, but you think a Yumi, of all people, would have realized that connection. That can't be right. That happened over 30 years ago. Oh no. Oh, have you come to play with us again? So creepy. So maybe once they get those marks on their body, without even realizing it, maybe they kind of subconsciously go towards the thing that's going to kill them. Like, Nana went to that room where she ended up getting butchered, and now Mayu is ended up at the nurse's office where she's going to die, or where she's supposed to die. Is there no way to save Mayu? Is she just destined for this to happen? Can we not, like, intervene like before with Seiko? Although, I mean, that didn't end up working out for Seiko. Something was dripping onto the back of my hand. These tears? That's what I thought at first, anyway. If I'd started to cry, I wasn't aware. Considering what I was going through, it wouldn't have been surprising in any way. I wondered just how much I'd cried since getting sealed up in this godforsaken. Probably more than I'd ever cried before in my entire life. But these weren't tears, were they? Was it blood, then? Did these children do something to me? Sure enough, I reached up and touched my face, and my finger came in contact with something sticky. Something sticky and red. Sachiko's answer was cold and disinterested, and came accompanied with a crooked, wry smile. She was just a child, yet one glance from her made every hair on my body stand on end. Oh, it's her, the bruise, right? Sachiko's face somehow made me feel as if there might be two sides to her, one gentle and one not. But regardless of which I was dealing with here, I wasn't about to go against her recommendation. I was legitimately curious myself. So I took out my compact, opened it, and... The bruise I'd concealed with makeup had sprung back to the surface once more, though it could hardly be called a bruise anymore. My skin had literally split open from inside, and blood was beginning to seep out through the pinkish fissure bead by bead. Oh no, it's spilling out. The bruise along my stomach and abdomen had followed suit, splitting open and dripping dark red blood everywhere. At this point, I'd completely lost any ability to think or reason. I was a goner, and I knew it. Oh, Mayu. It's like Sachiko's punishing them for daring to try and change their fate with something worse. Oh, Mayu, poor Mayu. Yeah, I was a goner. I couldn't fight it. Somewhere deep in the pit of my soul, I knew there was no way out. This unimaginably cruel fate was predestined. I couldn't escape. Oh, sure, I tried to run. I squirmed and resisted with every last bit of strength I had. But fate had me by the ankle, and it wasn't about to let go. If only I could force myself to lose consciousness, maybe I could avoid the unbearable agony that I knew was coming. But sadly, I wasn't that strong-willed. It just seems so hopeless for everybody. I could feel the hands of children all over my body, coming from virtually every direction. And they were really digging. Oh my goodness. Ah, and just that sound, that wet sound in my ear. And one of her bad endings, she got split apart too, didn't she? It's just so sad, like, these are just good, normal, decent kids and just getting horribly killed. I was seized with a pain unlike anything I'd ever even imagined possible before. I couldn't talk, I couldn't move, I couldn't even think. I felt like my head was going to explode under the pressure of the millions of nerves, all telling my brain just how much every part of my body hurt. And it didn't stop. Every moment it grew worse and worse. Then I began to drift away. And the horrible thing is knowing, like, what happens at Heavenly Host is when you die, you feel that pain forever.
ひどい匂い。その辺の廊下にでも飾っておこうか、この標本。学校がどんどん賑やかになっていくな。
Sachiko's voice sounded like it was far in the distance. It was then that I realized the agony I'd been feeling had changed. It was no longer pain, but chill. It didn't hurt anymore. It was just cold. So cold I couldn't even feel my body.
寒い。ものすごく寒いよ。しげに。もう、指一本動かない。私が死んで、惨めな死体になっても、嫌いにならないでくれる。しげに。私ね。しげにのこと。
Aw, and then Shig's just gonna show up and take pictures of her body. My final wish is that Shig to be the one to find my body. Girl, you don't want him to find your body. No, that's the last thing you want. No. As long as it's not too revolting to look at anyway. He's into that, though. I want him to think I'm pretty. Oh, he does, in his own way. He does. I miss him. Shig, bro. That's so sad, Mayu. Oh, that's the end. Damn, okay, well. Oh, Satoshi. Alright.
天神5番地のこれ23だよな。それとも33か？まったく山崎先生の字は読みづらいな。
Okay, well, we're going way back. It's weird to see something so, like, normal looking again. This really wasn't my day. I knocked over my alarm clock this morning, and of course it stopped working. The very last pork sandwich sold out right before my eyes during lunch. And I was roped into a favor when I happened upon my homeroom teacher, Mr. Yamazaki, long after the school day had ended. So now, like it or not, I was on my way to deliver some notes to Miss Yui. Oh, we're gonna get to see Miss Yui! Our homeroom TA, who was out sick with a cold.
後でゆかに謝らないとな。今日は早く帰ってゆかの買い物に付き合ってやる予定だったし。天神5番地23の11。ここか。これが6番地33の77とかじゃなければ。だけど。
I stopped and compared the memo in my hand with the apartment building in front of me. It was 2 stories tall and looked a little on the shabby side. Probably about 20 years old. It didn't seem very solid, nor was it particularly stylish or chic. It was a completely unremarkable structure in every way.
ここの207号室。いや、201?
I'm guessing that TAs probably don't make a lot of money. I was really getting fed up with his handwriting, and from a teacher no less. In any case, it seemed certain the apartment was on the 2nd floor, so I trudged up the startlingly narrow, steep stairs. The middle staircase was thoroughly blotched with patches of rust. Why would someone live in such a run-down apartment building? Dude! I don't think she's got a choice. It's like I said, I don't think she makes a lot of money. He's just ragging on her and be like, oh man, why she gotta be poor?
先生の給料ってもしかしてすごく安かったりするのか?
Felt a little sorry for her, but in a way, this place kind of fit her personality. Okay, damn. With that thought in mind, I turned my attention towards apartment 201. Are you saying that she's shabby and unremarkable and run down? Satoshi's supposed to be the nice one.
あ、ここが201号室か。でもゆい先生の家じゃないな。
The door plate for the room nearest the stairs had a name I didn't recognize scribbled on
っ
it.
てことは、この奥か。
Passing room 201, I continued down the narrow walkway toward the end. Wandering alone around an apartment building I'd never been to before made me feel kind of nervous. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong, but my back still tensed up as I maneuvered around piled up strollers, plastic toys, and bundles of newspapers. And then, finally, I arrived at the last door.
ここだ。
This was it. I breathed a sigh of relief. The door plate for apartment 207 read, Shishido. For an adult's handwriting especially, the letters were rounded and overly cutesy. This was Miss Yui's place, alright. Now that is a time where you can say that that fits her personality, not the apartment building that you've been ragging on.
なんだろうこれ。
I leaned in to read something written in small script on the corner of the door plate.
愛病注意
Oh, that's right, her cat. Oh, what was her cat's name? I think it was like Monet? It was like a painter or something.
って猛犬注意じゃなくて
That was so sad. That was so sad. Like, Miss Yui's bad end in the first game was probably the one that got me the most, just because when she was crushed under the rubble and she was just like, I hope everybody makes it out. You know, I hope my students are okay. And then she started being like, you know, Mom, Dad. She's calling for them, and then she called for Monet. I think that's the cat's name. She's calling for her cat, being like, oh, I hope he's not gonna be hungry. I hope someone's gonna look after him. That was, like, so crushing. It just makes you realize, like, oh yeah, Miss Yui is pretty young, and she's, like, not too far removed from being, like, a teenager herself. I think she's in her early 20s or something. And then having to deal with death.
ゆい先生らしいや。
So how exactly does one beware a house cat? Is it even possible for a house cat to be threatening? At any rate, I'd confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was Miss Yui's place, so my errand was nearing its end.
それにしても山崎先生もひどいよな。風邪ひいたクラスメートにプリント持っていくならわかるけど、風邪ひいた副担の先生のうちに授業のノートを届けろって。絶対におかしい。間違いなくこれ担任の仕事だよ。
I agree with Satoshi on that. That is weird to ask a student to do that. He'd said he was busy with meetings, though, and really needed one of his students to help him out. But was it really okay to entrust a school student with confidential class notes? And to, like, tell them, like, hey, this is where your teacher is. I mean, Miss Yui is pretty loved by her students, but if it was someone that maybe somebody had a grudge against, now they know where their teacher lives.
これ生徒が読んじゃまずいノートなんじゃないのか？
My mind kept drifting from one question to another, and I'd become acutely aware of the inherent value in these notes I held in my bag. But tempting as it was, I just couldn't bring myself to look at them because Satoshi's a good guy. Mr. Yamazaki put his faith in me after all. And I was stronger than that. I couldn't let this get the best of me. At any rate, I was here. I should have just been able to drop off the notes and be on my way. Putting all of my doubts and misgivings aside, I rang the doorbell. And then I waited, and waited, and waited some more, but there was no answer.
あれ俺呼び鈴をしたよな。ゆい先生
I rang the bell again and also tried calling out. Oh no, I hope she's okay. But there was still no response.
どうしよう。寝てんのかな。起こしちゃ悪いけど、でも心配だしな。
When we'd heard Miss Yui was staying home sick today, we were all pretty disappointed. That's why part of me was actually a little happy I was asked to run these over to her. Now, if only Miss Yui had been sick on the day that they did the Sachiko charm. I figured I'd be able to check in, see how she was doing, and let everyone at school know she was feeling better.
けど会えないっていうのは想定外だったな。ゆい先生ゆい先生反応なしか。
She's playing hooky. She's not actually sick.
ゆい先生すみません。
She was probably sleeping or out at the doctor's or something, but what if she was hurt? I tried opening the mail slot and peeking in. I thought maybe I could get a glimpse of the room inside.
ゆい先生
It felt kind of wrong peeking into someone's house without their permission. but I was legitimately worried about Miss Yue's health, so my conscience was clear on this one.
ああ、猫。
A well-groomed cat was facing the door and staring back at me. With its head tilted slightly to the side, it let out an adorable meow. This must be the cat I was instructed to beware. And since Miss Yui was always going on and on about her little buddy, I was pretty sure I remembered his name.
この子が噂のモレ。
Ah! I got it! Monet! I can't believe...
モネ。
Of course, leave it to me, right? I don't even, I will mispronounce a person's name for half the game, despite already playing the previous game, and despite people saying a person's name over and over again, but you tell me an animal's name, and I will remember it.
そうだ、モネちゃんだ。へえ、綺麗な猫だな。
Miss Yue talked about her cat a lot in class, so pretty much the whole school had heard of him. She even had some tins of cat food hidden on a shelf in the classroom, probably because she'd bought too much and had no room for them in her apartment. Yet another reason I love Miss Yue. She obviously loves animals and takes good care of her kitty.
モネ、モネ。先生はいるか？先生がいるんだったら、起こしてきてほしいんだ。モネ、頼むよ。やっぱり無理か。そりゃそうだよな。
My shoulders sank. I felt defeated. What the hell was I doing? I closed the mail slot and stood back up.
弱ったな。ゆい先生、どうしたんだろう。どっか外出中とか？空いてたりしないかな。
Oh, dude, you're just gonna walk in? Lost in the speculation, I placed my hand on the doorknob. And with a quick twist, I turned it and pushed on the door, opening it easily. Cool! So you're just, like, breaking into your teacher's house. I know for a good reason, but still.
え？鍵、かかってないのか。
Oh, I hope she's okay.
うわ、いけね。モネが出たら大変だ。
That's why they say, that's probably why I said beware of cat. It's like, it's not that the cat is gonna hurt you, it's just like, be careful when you open the door, because don't let the cat out.
お前のご主人様は不用心だな。鍵もかけてないなんて。
Monet's whiskers twitched as I called out to him from the entranceway.
なんだ？その通りだにゃって。モネもやっぱりそう思うか。
Here I was, talking to a cat. Was this what I'd become?
どうしよう。
Now, I find it more weird when people don't talk to animals. I was feeling pretty uneasy. Not only had I peeped into someone's home, I'd walked in without a second thought. Moreover, this was where Miss Yue lived, alone, in other words, a woman's apartment. No matter how many times I reminded myself I was here on an errand, I couldn't help but feel that I'd not only crossed a line, but leaped over it.
ゆい先生。
I tried calling her name one last time, but as expected, there was no answer.
本当にどうしようかな。
I was trying hard to avoid being too nosy, but my eyes inevitably began surveying the room. The apartment entrance led out immediately into the kitchen, and beyond that there was a sliding door to some other room. I could see light through the gaps. I strained my ears, but there was nothing to hear, no signs of life whatsoever. Miss Yue really must have been out. One more time, I tried calling out to her one more time, just to put my concerns at ease. I felt like I'd seem even more suspicious if I stayed silent.
ゆい先生。持田です。
Still nothing. Maybe she was asleep on the other side of that door. Oh my god, dude! So you're gonna go and check up on her in her bedroom, probably?
確かめてみ。いやいやいやいや。
Shaking my head furiously, I cast out that sudden impulse, like, I know Miss Yue, she's young, she's pretty. You're a teenager, but like, no. Be good. That was a terrible idea, pure and simple. Entering the apartment unannounced was bad enough, but walking all the way in, opening that sliding door and peeking inside, that was just too
って
much.
いうか、このタイミングでゆい先生が外から帰ってきたりしたら、俺結構まずい。 じゃなくて、だいぶまずい。
Monet mewed, as if in agreement. Panicking, I once again surveyed my surroundings. I almost felt like there were eyes on me, staring with disdain. But of course, nobody was there.
あ、そうだ。書き置きを残していけばいいんじゃないか？
Wondering why I didn't think of this sooner, I dug into my bag for some paper and a pen.
山崎先生から頼まれたのでって書いておけばいいんだよな。俺のノートでいいや。ゆい先生
Crouching in the doorway, I ran my pen across the page. I brought class notes at Mr. Yamazaki's behest. Everyone has been worried about you. Sorry about barging into your apartment.
あと、不用心だから。
Please don't forget
鍵はか
to
けた方が
lock
いい
your
と
door.
思いますと。ん？
Oh! As I was writing the note, I sensed a presence in front of me. Ooh, until just a moment ago, this house had had no signs of human life in it, but now I could feel someone standing directly ahead. It's probably just Miss Yui, but like the fact that the music just stopped and now it's all like creepy, standing and looking down at me. Fidgeting nervously, I put down my pen, raised my head slowly, and saw a white, slender ankle. Oh, shocked, I shot my head up, and there, standing before me, was Miss Yui. And she's got her little that's right, she loves pandas, doesn't she? She's got little panda pajamas. She's just like a teenager herself. I know she's an adult, but she doesn't seem it. Is she sleepwalking?
先生。
Maybe she's like hopped up on cough medication or something? She was looking right at me, but she seemed decidedly out of sorts. Her hair looked disheveled, her gaze was unsteady, and her pajamas were in complete disarray. She was like a completely different person from the usual kempt educator we'd come to know and love.
ゆい先生、俺勝手に入っちゃって。
I stood up frantically and held out the note I'd been writing. But Miss Yui was just standing there stupefied with a completely vacant expression on her face.
先生。
I called out to her as gently as I could, but yeah, I think she's just either like drugged up on cough medicine or just really tired or sleepwalking. She was really dazed. She seemed almost like a ghost. But then it's got like that creepy music in the back too. It's just hard to take it seriously when she's wearing those cute little pajamas. I had a sudden uneasy feeling. Worried, I walked up to Miss Yui, grabbed her shoulders, and tried to snap her out of it by shaking her. But instead, oh man, she's sleepwalking. That's the last thing you want to do is try and wake them up. Oh, just coughing in his face. This just seemed to make her cough.
先生。
These were wet, productive coughs, and spit was shooting out of Miss Yui's mouth with each one. I frantically tried to shield my face from the spray, but my reaction time just wasn't quick enough. I put a hand to her cheek and found it thick with a slimy film of saliva. Ugh.
大丈夫？ゆい先生。
Miss Yui hobbled back a little, then fell to her knees with a thud. She had completely sprawled out in the hallway, moaning and groaning the whole time.
先生。
Wiping the spatterings from my own face, I leaned over and took a better look at hers. It was bright red. Strained breathing, a stuffy nose, and a visibly high fever on top of it all. She was sick as could be. Oh, she's so cute.
でも汗かいてるよ。
I thought maybe her sweat had cooled her down, but then realized her disheveled pajamas certainly weren't doing her any favors. With heart pounding a mile a minute and face red as a traffic light, I set about buttoning her up.
ゆい先生、 俺のことわかる？持田だよ。寒いならちゃんと布団で寝ないと。でないと治るもんも治らないって。
She absent-mindedly extended her shaking arms like a zombie, slowly reopened her eyes, and looked up at me. It was the gaze of a severely fevered mind.
ゆい先生、
司くん。
え？
Oh?
うわ
Oh, no.
司くん。
え？
Miss Yui was clinging to me tightly. I couldn't move. I was frozen in shock. She began to weep.
来てくれたのね。司くん。
Oh boy, she is having delusions.
つかさ？
嬉しい。よかった。
先生待って、人違いだよ。
It seemed like I wasn't getting through to her at all. And the sensation of her chest as she held me was making it virtually impossible to fight her grip. I was utterly powerless against this opponent. I never realized before just how soft a woman's chest really was. God, am I that weak-willed? I had to remind myself Miss Yui had me confused with someone else. Mustering all the strength I could, I gripped her arms and tried to pry them off me. But she was a lot stronger than I'd anticipated and wouldn't let me get away.
怖かったよ、司くん。怖かった。
怖かった？
まさか来てくれるなんて思わなかった。
うわ
As she squeezed me tightly, I felt as though my upper body might collapse under the pressure of her softest parts. I was blushing uncontrollably.
ゆい先生、ちょっと離れて。先生ってば。
Is she not gonna say something like, "Stop calling me teacher"? I struggled to wriggle free, but Miss Yui only grabbed me tighter. Our bodies were getting more and more intertwined. And every time I squirmed, Miss Yui would just pull me in even closer. Now this is the time, like with this graphic and everything, of course this would be a perfect time for someone to walk in on me. They thought I was playing a horror game, and I'm apparently playing something completely different.
うわ
As her chest rose and fell erratically, droplets of sweat slid down into her cleavage. I could feel the heat of her fever radiating off her steadily encroaching face, as well as the shoulders I'd grabbed in an effort to push away.
そばにいて、司くん。お願い。
だから人違い。
Questions were swirling around in my head. Why was Miss Yui crying? And who is this Tsukasa person? But I was most concerned for the state of her pajamas, which had become even more disheveled during our struggle.
先生、パジャマ、ズボン、ずり落ちてるから。
司くん、あったかい。
ゆい先生ってば。
Realizing that not a single word was getting through to her, I sighed resigningly. I'd taken care of Yuka any number of times when she'd caught a cold and drawn a fever, but I don't recall it ever getting this bad. Miss Yui was usually calm, collected, and rational. Who would have ever imagined a fever could leave her so thoroughly discombobulated? Like I was saying, maybe she overdosed on some medication. I put more strength into my resistance, and finally, her arms relaxed, just the tiniest bit. But her expression changed drastically.
やだ。
先生、俺は持田聡で、司って人じゃ。
行かないで。やだ。
Miss Yui was acting like a spoiled child. Slipping out of the shoes I'd still been wearing, I again drew close to her sprawled out form. There was no way I could just leave her like this.
後で気がついて、怪しまないでくれよ。
Miss Yui let out a lethargic groan, perhaps in response to my quiet murmurings. At my wit's end, I grabbed hold of her and did my best to carry her into the back room. Gently wheeling her over to her unfurled futon, I then carefully laid her down, making sure I didn't drop her in the process. Then there was the matter of rebuttoning those pesky pajamas again. I hesitantly pulled up her pajama bottoms and brushed away the stray hairs that were plastered to her brow with sweat. I'd done my best to avoid seeing anything I shouldn't, but I am a guy, so my heart was pounding the whole time. Miss Yui's pajamas were soaked through with sweat. She really might have been better off with a change of clothes altogether. But no, that would have gone way too far.
タオルとか何か拭くものでもあれば。ってん
You need to get Seiko here, because she say she's the mastering of undressing people. Noticing a convenience store bag carelessly tossed to the floor, I glanced inside.
なんだ冷却シート買ってきてあるじゃん。
Yeah, I think I'm right.
なんで使ってないんだか。
Or not?
先生、ヒヤッとするけど我慢してね。
I guess cold packs, that's literally a pack that would, you know, be cold. I was thinking like cold medicine packs or something.
これでよしと。
I placed one of the compresses on her forehead and pulled the covers over her. Miss Yui appeared almost instantly relieved. She exhaled contently and her breathing became more relaxed. Finally, she was asleep. Oh, little Monet. Oh, I like how she's just pinching his pants like, no, don't leave me, though. Even in sleep, Miss Yui seemed to be suffering.
モネ。なんだ先生が心配かだよな。俺もここまでひどいことになってるとは思わなかったよ。
Monet had coiled up on my legs without me noticing. I began absent-mindedly speaking to him. He mewed in response, and our conversations ended there as my gaze was still fixed squarely on Miss Yui.
さて、どうしようか。ゆい先生。俺、このまま帰っても大丈夫？
He wasn't in any condition to respond, but
ゆい先生。
Miss Yui's hand was had slipped out from under the futon and was gently grasping my pant leg. If he tries to get up, she's probably gonna just, like, drag him back down again. Her grip was much weaker than before, but I knew I'd probably regret it if I went home now. Miss Yui just seemed really lonely.
仕方ないな。
Without disturbing Miss Yui's hold on me, I took a seat beside her. Aw, what a good kid. For the time being, I figured I'd watch over her and make sure her condition didn't worsen. Occasionally, Miss Yui's breathing would become ragged and she'd furrow her brow. She was in a pretty bad way.
辛そうだな。
Wasn't there anything else I could do? I glanced quietly down the hallway. I'd noticed when I carried Miss Yui here that the kitchen near the entrance was perfectly neat and tidy. There wasn't any indication it had been used that day at all.
飯食ってるのかな？
Monet's gaze shifted suddenly. I followed it and saw pet bowls laid out in the corner of the room. Monet's like, well, I haven't eaten. One dish was filled to the brim with water, and the other was piled high with dry cat food. Yeah, what am I saying? Of course, Miss Yui, like before anything else, she would make sure the cat was fed. She probably knew she was sick, so she's like, all right, I'm gonna just pile this full of food, and then I don't have to worry about Monet.
なるほど。モネはちゃんと食べてるんだな。熱出してあんな状態になってても、お前のことはちゃんと考えてくれてるんだな。でもさ、ゆい先生。まずは自分の食事の心配をしようよ。
I shook my head at the whole situation and glanced down at Monet, who was tilting his head as if trying to understand me. I broke into a wry smile. When I'd pulled out the cold packs, I did notice some cheap convenience store food in the bag as well. I guess that was going to be her food for the day. Not exactly the best stuff to eat when you're sick.
米と、あと卵くらいはきっとあるよな。卵がゆでも作ろう。先生、キッチン借りるよ。
Her face was bright red and her half-pained, half-contented noises provided me with no clear-cut answer to my question.
仕方ない。ゆい先生の代わりに、モネに許しをもらおうかな。モネ、キッチンを借りていいか？ ありがとう。
Monet's cries helped assuage my guilt over entering a woman's apartment and borrowing her kitchen. Not that I had any reason to feel guilty. I don't think anyway. I mean, circumstances were what they were. Still, I had this nagging sense that I should have somehow felt bad about what I was doing.
ゆい先生、ごめんな。ちょっと離れるよ。
One by one, I gently peeled off each of the fingers latched onto my pant leg. The expression on her face changed as I was doing so, from contented rest to mild annoyance, but there was nothing to indicate she might wake up.
よし、作るか。
As I stood up, Monet mewed happily and began tagging along at my heels. And Miss Yui, now resting by herself in the bedroom, let out a sudden sneeze. Alright, here we go. Episode 3, Encounter. Oh, alright, are we fast forwarding or are we going back in time?
ちょっとゆい
かかったよ今くしゃみ。
ごめんごめん、なんだか鼻がムズムズするの。まったくもう。ティッシュティッシュ、あれどこやったっけ。
ああ、なければ私の使ってよ。せめてものお詫び。やった。じゃあ私使う。
私も持ってないよ。ティッシュちょうだい。
はい。
サンキュー。あんたたちね、ティッシュくらい常備しときなさいよ。
面目ない。
まったく。
それで何の話だっけ。
そうそう。だからさ、とうとう3年になっちゃったよねって話。
Okay, we are going back in time, so this is her in high school, I guess.
だね。あと1年で卒業か。
卒業もだけど、私たちそれよりもっと考えなくちゃいけないことがあるじゃない？進路よ。いや、聞きたくない。正直さ、進路相談何回受けたって将来のことなんかはっきりしないっていうかさ。
だよね。どうするかな、ほんと。
ねえ、ゆいはもう進路とか決めてる？
実はね、もう決めてるんだ。
なにゆい、何になりたいの？
私はね、私の名前は宍戸ゆい、17歳。将来の夢は先生になること。
My name is Yui Shishido. I'm 17, and my dream is to be a teacher.
あまりよく考えずに人のことに首を突っ込んでは空回ってることが多い私だけど、
I butt into the lives of others without a second thought, and I spend most of my time doing nothing important.
でもそんな私でもきっと頑張れば夢が叶うって信じてる。
But I believe that even someone like me can make her dreams come true, with enough hard work. Kisuragi Academy 5 years ago. That's crazy to think that just 5 years ago. Yeah, so she's 22, like she's still so young, such a baby. The cherry blossoms were in bloom, and the rustling wind carried with it the soft warmth of the season. I was a high school senior now, and was devoting myself to my studies in preparation for the day my dream could become reality. And that dream was to become an English teacher. My grades were on the fence for getting into the university I wanted, though. So my best bet was to score a special recommendation from the academy.
はあ、よかった。急に呼び出されたから何事かと思ったよ。ある日の放課後、私は職員室に呼び出された。
After school one day, I was summoned to the teacher's staff room.
何かヘマをやったのかとか、成績が志望校に及ばないとか、そういう悪いことを言われるんじゃないかってビクビクしてたんだけど。
I was freaking out that maybe I'd failed or my grades weren't good enough for the school I wanted to go to or something terrible like that.
私の予想に反して呼び出された要件はとてもいいものだった。
But it turned out my fears were all for naught.
うちの学園からはライバルはいなさそうだから、 このまま頑張れば推薦してやるぞ。だってなんかやる気出てきちゃった。この調子で頑張らないとね。それにしてもゴミ箱ってどうしてこんなに重たいんだろう。ゴミ捨て場まで持っていくのも一苦労だよ。
なあ、
突然声をかけられてゴミ箱を抱えたまま振り返る。それは今まで話したことのない男子生徒だった。
I turned around. Oh,
見かけたことなら何度もある。
I turned around, still holding the garbage can. The voice belonged to a male student I'd never spoken with before. I'd seen him around a lot, though. I'm guessing that's the name that she was calling out to Satoshi.
彼は
Yep.
7組の三国司くんだ。
His name was Tsukasa Mikuni from class 7.
そこ、足元。根っこが出てるから気をつけな。
え？あー、
Typical meet cute.
ちょっとそこ笑うとこ？
だってよ。
もうそこはさ、大丈夫かとか聞いてくれたって。
悪い悪い。
あ、いいよ、そんな手が汚れるよ。
別にいいよ、そんくらい。笑った詫びに手伝う。
ありがとう。
うん。これで全部拾い終えたか？
うん、もう大丈夫。
じゃ、行くぞ。
え？あ、
I remember it well, even now. This was my first time talking with Tsukasa, and he left a strong first impression on me.
ごめん、重たいよね。
別に
やっぱり自分で。
いいって。はい終了。
ありがとう、助かったよ。
じゃあな。
あ、ちょっと待って、
あ、
俺させてよ。
いいよ女の。これくらいで。
いいからちょっと待っててね。
ん？
友達が増えるというのは嬉しいし楽しい。その相手が三国司くんというのも嬉しかった。司くんのことは実は少し気になっていたから。
Making a new friend is always great, but when it happens to be Tsukasa Mikuni, it's all the better. He's kind of been on my mind for a while.
よいしょっと。
Most of the times I'd seen Tsukasa before this were in the school courtyard. He spent a lot of time there sitting alone on a bench. Even after school or during summer vacation, if I happened to pass by, I would always see him there. And after this little encounter, we'd go on to make many fond memories together. Yet somehow the image of Tsukasa that stands out most in my mind is of him seated alone on that courtyard bench.
はい、どうぞ。コーヒー牛乳でよかった。
まあ、なんでもいいけど。サンキュー。
これは私からのお礼なんだから、黙って受け取ってくれればいいの。
義理がたいやつ。
We walked to the bench together, sat down, and began making small talk. That courtyard bench was a sort of mystical place. The leaves rustled over your head, and if you closed your eyes and opened your ears, it felt as though you were in the middle of some forest. And then if you looked straight up, the sunlight poured in through the leaves, and you almost felt like you were in another world.
初めて座ったよ、このベンチ。
なかなかいいだろ？
うん、素敵な場所。
だよな。
だからなの？
え？
Oh, is she gonna be like, I see you all the time, I don't stalk you or anything?
この時間とか昼休みとかよくここにいるでしょ。
Wonder if he has like some family problems or home problems, and that's why he's at school a lot, just hanging out.
おう。
この場所好きなんだね。
まあね。
そっか。
The leaves rustled as the gentle breeze blew between us. We were both silent for a bit, but strangely, it didn't feel awkward or uncomfortable.
聞かないのか？
ね？
いつも一人で何してんだって。
この場所が好きだからいつもここにいるんだよね。
そうだけどさ。
他に何か理由があったりするの？
ないよ。
じゃあ聞く必要ないじゃない。
そうだけど、ほら普通聞くだろ。一人でそんなんつまらなくないかとか、意味わかんねえとか、変わってるなとか。
そんなこと思わなかったな。ここが好きなら一人でいたって別に変じゃないよね。
お前変わってるな。
え？
いや、そんな顔しなくても、今のは俺的褒め言葉だから。
変わってるが褒め言葉？
そうそう。
なんか納得いかないな。もう。
The expression on Tsukasa's face was a dead giveaway that he really enjoyed talking to me. And I've always loved that feeling I get when I know my words helped brighten someone's day. I must have been sporting one hell of a goofy smile at that moment.
本当はさ、この学校でもっと好きな場所があるんだよ。
どんなところ？
秘密。
っ
とっておきだからな。
てことは、そこも超素敵な場所なんだよね。
ああ。
いいな、どこ気になるよ。
ダメ、そう簡単には教えない。それにいつでも見れるってもんじゃないんだ、そこの景色。
司くんは笑いながら紙パックのジュースを飲み干すとベンチから立ち上がった。そして目の前にあったゴミ箱をひょいっとつかみ、私を振り返る。
Laughing, Tsukasa finished up his drink, then grabbed the now empty trash can he'd carried to the dumpster for me.
コーヒーをおごってもらったしな。ついでに教室まで運んでやるよ。
いいの？
ああ。
ありがとう。あ、私のクラスはね。
4組だろ？知ってるよ。
Oh, maybe he's stalking her.
宍戸ゆいっつったら有名だからな。
どうして？
今から先生みたいな女子がいるって、12クラス全部で有名だよ。
それから私と司くんは何度か中庭で会っては話をした。校舎の中ではすれ違ってもほとんど話すことがないのに、中庭では不思議と話が弾む。
From then on, Tsukasa and I met in that courtyard many times. We didn't really talk in the halls, but something about that place spurred our conversation.
あ、またお前コーヒー牛乳かよ。
うん。
好きすぎだろ、コーヒー牛乳。
そんなことないよ。
1日に最低2本は飲んでるくせにか？
I'm feeling personally attacked. I have what are they called? They're like Starbucks double shot drinks, and I have at least one a day. And my body now, like, I feel like I need them now. If I don't have one, I just feel tired and gross.
なんで知ってるの？
自販機でいつもそれ買ってるの、ここから見えるんだよ。ほら、そっち見てみ。
ほんとだ。
昼休みも放課後もいつも宍戸がコーヒー牛乳買ってるのバッチリ見てたからな。
そんなこと言ったら、私だって司くんがここのベンチに座ってるのいつも見てたよ。
いや、知ってるけど、なんでまた言う？
お互い気になってたんだなって思ったから。
なんだそりゃ。
Okay, they both are just stalking each other low key.
中庭での会話はたわいのないものがほとんどだった。教室で友達と繰り広げる会話みたいにあんまり中身がなくて、でもすごく楽しくて。
Our conversations in the courtyard were usually just silly. It was like talking to a good friend in class. Shallow, but genuinely enjoyable.
この場所、夏でも結構涼しいね。
夏とか言うな。
あれ？夏嫌い？
夏期講習が目前に迫ってたら誰でも嫌いになるだろ
まあね。 私たち3年生だもんね。夏だからって遊んではいられないよね。
Oh man, is that something in Japan? Is that like mandatory summer school for seniors? That sucks. Summer school is usually, I think, of something for people who failed their regular classes, so they have to go at summer school to retake the class.
お前は随分と楽しそうだけどな。
私は夢に近づいてるって実感できて嬉しいよ。
ふーん。
私ね、人に勉強を教えるの好きなんだ。頼られるのも好き。
なんで？
お姉さんになった感じがするからかな。ほら、私一人っ子だし。
ああ、うん。まあ、頑張れば。
はすっごいどうでもよさそう。
だって人事だしな。
そんなことを言いながらも、司くんはやっぱり優しかった。だって私の夢を笑ったりはしなかったから。
Despite his occasional boorishness, I still felt that Tsukasa was a kind soul. If nothing else, he never actually laughed at my dream.
先生になりたいって夢を話すと、大抵の人は笑ったり茶化したりで、あんまり真剣に聞いてくれない。
And in a high school crowd, most people don't take you very seriously when you say you're trying to become a teacher.
だけど司くんは一度も笑わなかったんだ。
Tsukasa just wasn't like most people, I guess. Ooh. Okay, that changed quickly. I was like, uh-oh, what was that thumping noise? The season was quickly turning to autumn. After the school day ended, the senior floor was always a lot more quiet than its underclassmen counterparts. Everyone was off studying hard at the library or with tutors. So one day, thinking no one else was around, I sat down in a lonely corner of the hallway. Initially, I had grabbed my shoes and left the classroom, intending to head home. But along the way, I just started crying. I was overwhelmed. My sobs echoed from one end of the hallway to the other. I'm guessing Kasa's gonna find her.
この日、私は無事に志望校の推薦枠に入れてもらえることになった。
That day, I had finally received a special recommendation to my top choice university.
嬉しくて仕方がなかった私はすぐに友達に報告した。けれど、いつもなら手放しで喜んでくれるその子がふと表情を曇らせた。
I was so excited, I just wanted to tell someone. So I told my friend Tomoe, but her usual supportive demeanor took on a somewhat harsher edge.
私の前でそんなこと言うんだ。まだ私は夢も何も決まってないのに。
多分私はひどくショックを受けた顔になっていたのだと思う。巴はすぐにハッとしたように目を見開き、慌てて謝ってくれた。
My expression must have changed pretty drastically. Tomoe's eyes suddenly widened and she quickly apologized.
だから私も笑って気にしてないよってそう言ったのだけれど。
So I smiled and told her I didn't care. That's what I said anyway.
気にしてないわけがない。巴の言葉と表情が鋭い針のようになって私の胸をつく。
But how couldn't I care? Tomoe's dismissive words struck me like a dagger to my chest.
私考えなしだったのかな。他のみんなも同じこと思ってた。
I kept wiping the tears from my eyes, only for new ones to take their place immediately. Why didn't I think of this sooner? So many people were still facing uncertain futures with no real goals in mind, and I was completely oblivious to it. I was the one with a dream, running around like the cock of the walk and blabbing about my successes and aspirations. I wouldn't blame them if they hated me. Aw, Miss Yui, even when she was a teenager, she was just such a sweetie. Could someone that insensitive to the feelings of so many people really become a teacher? Did I ever even have what it takes to begin with?
シシド？
声をかけられて振り向くと、そこには司くんが立っていた。
I quickly turned toward the voice that had called out to me and found Tsukasa standing there.
いつもは廊下であっても言葉を交わすことなんてないのに、この日はごく自然に声をかけてくれた。
We never said a word before when passing each other in the hall, but he spoke to me that day with no reservation, as if we were old chums.
司くん。
すごい顔だぞ。ハンカチは？
持ってる。
じゃあ顔拭けよ。
司くんが戸惑っている空気がひしひしと伝わってきた。 彼を困らせたくなかったから、私はこぼれ落ちていこうとする涙を必死に拭う。
Sakasa's concern and confusion was clearly written on his face. I didn't want to cause him any trouble or worry him, so I began frantically wiping my eye.
何かあったのか？
何もないよ。
何かあったからそんなに泣いてんだろ？
これは友達とちょっと気まずくなっちゃって。でもすぐに仲直りしたから大丈夫。これはさ、そう嬉し涙みたいなものだから。
ふーん。
嬉し涙って言えばね、私推薦枠に入れることになっ。
I'm not sure if I did it out of respect for Tsukasa or just because I wanted to change the subject, but I cut myself off mid-sentence. I was doing it again. What was I thinking? Now even Tsukasa was going to hate me for being a braggart. Hell, I hated myself. I was the worst. Just the worst. He's probably going to be, like, very happy for her, because the thing is, friends, at the end of the day, they should be happy for your successes, right? But...
マジか！
That's right, that's how a real friend should react. He was happy for me. A bit taken aback, I nodded firmly.
やったじゃんか！おめでとう！
うん。ありがとう。
お、
ありが。
だから、なんで泣くんだよ。ふん。まだ推薦枠が決まったってだけで、推薦入試があるんだろう？嬉し泣きするほど喜ぶにはまだ早いだろう。
そうだよね。でもそうやっておめでとうって言ってもらえたから、なんか嬉しくて。
たく。
ごめんね。
何が？
泣いたりしてわけわかんないよね。
そう思ってんなら早く泣きやめって。
うん。もう大丈夫だから。
たく。
As I rubbed my swollen eyes, a smile broke through, and Tsukasa let out an exasperated sigh. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, his eyes lit up.
そうだ、シシド。ちょっと待ってろ。
Oh, is he gonna get her cafe au lait drink at celebration like she did with him? And that's how they met? Tsukasa ran into his classroom, quickly reappearing in the hall again just moments later. He was holding something.
お前にこれやるよ。
鉛筆?
Or not? In his outstretched hand rested a short, stubby little pencil, not the sort of thing you'd expect someone to go out of their way to lend you. It was pocked here and there with small scratches, but it still seemed to be in relatively decent shape considering how obviously well worn it was.
受験必勝鉛筆。
受験必勝?
Is that like her lucky charm? She probably still has it, I'm guessing.
これ使うと試験に受かるんだよ。
本当に？
ああ、如月学園に受かるのは難しいって言われてた俺がこれ使って受かったんだから間違いないよ。
じゃあこれ司くんが高校入試の時に使った鉛筆なんだ。
そう、経験新たかな鉛筆だぜ。
霊言新たかね。
あ、それだ。
それじゃあ借りるね。ありがとう。
言っとくけど、貸すのは推薦入試までだからな。一般入試の時は俺が使うから返してもらう。
Judging by her reaction to Satoshi and saying like, you came back for me, did something happen to him? And then she was never able to give the pencil back to him.
だから推薦絶対受かれよ。
鉛筆を受け取り笑顔でうなずく。今度は司くんも笑ってくれた。
I took the pencil and nodded, smiling. This time, Tsukasa returned my smile.
人の気持ちまで勝手に思いやって背負い込んで、悲しみまで自分のものにして。お前みたいなのが先生になれたらいいのにな。
For a moment, I had no idea what he was talking about, but then it hit me. Tsukasa had somehow sussed out from our conversation that I was crying because I'd upset Tomoe. And he was turning that fact around to offer me encouragement.
頑張れよ。負けんなよ。
頑張れって言葉は辛い時にはプレッシャーになるから言っちゃダメってよく聞く。
I heard you shouldn't wish someone luck in times of stress, as it just adds more pressure. That's why people tell actors to break a leg instead.
けれど私はこの優しい言葉が大好きだった。
But I didn't care. Taboo or not, I cherished his kind words.
私頑張るね、司くん。
お？
この日から私はどんどん司くんに惹かれていった。
That's when I really started to fall for him.
彼は全然そっけなくてちっとも振り向いてはくれなかったけれど。
But it didn't really seem like he noticed, and there wasn't really any indication he felt the same way anyway. I can still clearly recall the events of that day even now. It was October, the day before my entrance exam. The weather outside had been miserable since morning, and visibility was all but non-existent. It would be a bad omen if I were to slip and fall on the day before the exam, so I decided I'd wear boots to school, just to be safe.
行ってきます。
Oh. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see a white-haired old woman lying on the ground, soaked to the bone. Frantically rushed over to her side.
おばあさん、大丈夫ですか？しっかりしてください。どうしたんですか？まさかひき逃げとか？
The road running by my house was narrow and mostly used only by our neighbors. But it's not like it was so closed off to outside traffic or anything, so a hit and run wasn't out of the question. I looked over the old woman's body as best as I could. Fortunately, there were no signs of any serious injury.
よかった。事故とかじゃないみたい。
娘さん。
はい。
今日は学校へ行ってはならん。
Oh, what?
絶対に行ってはならん。
The old woman raised herself up slightly and spoke hoarsely. From the tone in her voice, she seemed terribly desperate.
だけど今日は面接の最後の練習があってね。
It'd be one thing for her to practice, like if it, or sorry, it would be one thing if it was her actual interview, but if it's just practicing and some random person told me not to go to a place, I would be like, maybe I'd be a little bit more taking them at their word. Just like Satoshi telling them not to do the Sachiko charm, and look what happened when they didn't listen.
そういうわけにはいかないよ。面接は私が一番苦手とする試験だから。それよりおばあちゃんどうしたの？お家の人は？
どうしてもか。
え？
どうしても行くというのか。
うん。
ならば、せめて。
Not knowing what to say, I nodded apprehensively as the old woman began digging through her pockets. She produced what looked to be a crumpled scrap of paper. As she was digging around, I noticed her breathing had become dangerously ragged and began considering my options to assist her. Really, I should have gone back into the house and called my mom. But there was something about her that kept me glued to the spot. I sensed desperation hiding in that unbroken gaze.
これを受け取りなされ。
何？
お守りじゃ。
お守り？
The old woman clutched my wrist and forcefully pressed the scrap of paper into my palm. Tilting my head, I unfolded the scrap and looked carefully at it. At first, I thought I'd just been handed a piece of trash. But when I unfolded it all the way, I saw it was actually a paper doll in the shape of a human being. Ah! And there was a name written on its torso. Yui Shishido. Yes, my name, written plain as day in easily legible
ど
brushstrokes.
うして私の名前？
お守りだからじゃ。
So this is interesting. Did Yui have, like, did she experience something supernatural even before, the Heavenly Host incident?
守る対象の名を書かねば身代わりにはならんだろう。
Crazy. This was all crazy. I didn't understand any of it save for one simple fact. This old woman was here specifically to give me this strange paper charm. As far as I was aware, we were total strangers to one another, but she clearly knew both my name and my address.
やだ。
Yeah, at that point, just don't go to school. Don't go to school.
ごめんなさい。せっかくだけど。
No! Yui, what are you
私
doing?
これいらないから。
いらない。じゃあ
As I extended my arm to return the paper doll, I could sense her entire demeanor had changed. She raised her body up unsteadily from the wet asphalt.
どうしてじゃ。わしが身を削って訪ねてやっているのに、なぜ誰もわしの言うことを聞かんのじゃ。受け取らぬなら絶対に天神
No,
賞に
Heavenly
行ってはならん。
Host.
天神賞？
そうじゃ。行くな、行くな。
As the old woman cried out, the paper doll fluttered lightly to the ground. Almost instantaneously, it became soaked through with rainwater. My name began to run and quickly turned into an illegible black smudge. Seeing this, the old woman grabbed and tore at her hair.
うわー、お守りが。これでもう抗う術は失われてしまった。
おばあちゃん、落ち着いて。
よいか、絶対に天神賞に行ってはならん。
待って、おばあちゃん。私の学校は如月学園だよ。天神賞なんて知らない。
Ew, lovely.
どうしたの？
家の前で知らないおばあちゃんが倒れてるの。救急車呼んで。
わかったわ。
Paramedics arrived in a matter of minutes. The old woman seemed to be unconscious by that point, however, so the EMTs brought out a
お
stretcher.
二人はこの方の関係者ですか？
いいえ、家の前で倒れていたので救急車を呼んだんです。身元はわからなくて。
I'm guessing she's gonna wake up and like point at her and something and just scream something foreboding.
そうですか。では付き添いで乗車はされませんか？
The idea of making this old woman go to the hospital by herself just seemed like it would have been a shameful thing to do. Sure, she was a stranger, but we'd had a lengthy conversation mere minutes before, so I couldn't very well say we had nothing to do with each other.
ゆい、あんたは学校行っといで。
でも、
この方にはお母さんがついていくわ。あんたは今日。
That could have been her last chance to not go to school, and she didn't take it.
そうだね。それじゃあお母さん、お願い。
I was a little hesitant, but I knew I really had to go to school today, no matter what. So I left the strange woman in my mom's care and heading towards school, walked right by her stretcher. Oh. Suddenly, a hand rose from the limp form of the old woman and grabbed my skirt. Startled, I tried to jump away, but found myself ensnared by her terrible, bloodshot eyes.
行くな。
Alright, you know what? Before, I was thinking about, like, all of the bonus things to save them for the very end, but I realized that they might have some insight into things that might happen later on in the story or things that have already happened, kind of give me a new perspective. So now that we finished chapter 2, I'll just stop into the bonus section, and that also includes the stuff from chapter 1, the soulful testimonies. So yeah, so we'll check out what we've got so far. So first we've got Yuichi Nakamura.
皆さんお疲れ様でした。吉木役の
Oh, these are the voice actors.
いやー、クリアをしたそうで。
Okay, this is weird.
どうでしたか？一本道で行けましたか？それともいろんな人がいろんなことになっちゃうパターンを見たんでしょうか？
This is not what I was
もし
expecting.
見てなくてですね、割とすんなりいけちゃったなっていう人はですね、やっぱり全部見てほしいよねっていうところがありますから。
Don't worry, that's the plan. I'm gonna get all those bad endings.
すべての、いや違うな。何人かはね、そんなに激しくやってないんですけどね。僕らなんかはね、割と激しめのシーン、
Yeah.
ちょっとショッキングなね、シーンをたくさんやってるんでね、そういったところもぜひ含んで楽しんでいただければいいかななんて思っておりますんで、何度も遊んでみてもらえるかな？はい、どうもありがとうございます。そ
He
れではま
sounds
た。
so different. Okay, and now we've got Yuka's character. Oh, Yuka was actually named after the voice actress, it seems like.
スパーティーブックオブシャ
Oh
ドウズ
no,
を
this is
プレイして
Mayu.
くだ
It's
さ
just like what are the odds it just
どうも
happens to
あり
be
がとうございます
with the name of a
辻
character.
本真由役の南里優香です。皆さんプレイしてみていかがでしたか？まゆとしても南里優香としても久しぶりに本当に背中がゾクゾクする感じを私も味わいました。皆さんもぜひ何度もプレイして楽しんでください
She
ね。
sounds so much like, wow, she sounds so much like, even when she's just got her normal voice, she definitely sounds like Mayu, but with yeah, with his, I was just like, I could see that there was a difference.
皆様どうもお世
Seiko's voice is like one of my favorites. I love it.
良い子じゃないよ聖子だよでおなじみ新井さとみです。いやー
She just has so much like personality to her voice, even without me knowing Japanese.
初めてダミーヘッドっつんですか？頭に向かって喋ったんですけどね。いやー、彼ね、顔はこうね。
Even the voice actress sounds kind of strange, like Seiko.
耳がね、ちゃんとあるんですよね。ちょっとね、丸めのね、肉厚な感じでしたね。それに向かってこう、はぁ、
Oh my gosh.
何度も息を。
I love her voice actress too. She's so weird.
皆様お楽しみください。ストーリーの方をもちろんメインにお楽しみください。というわけで新井さとみでした。
Okay, that was kind of cool. I like that. Alright, interesting episode. We had a couple of pretty brutal deaths of Nana and Mayu. And now we are jumping in as Miss Yui, which I'm excited about because she is one of my faves from the first game. And kind of going into her backstory about her as a teenager. But interesting about the whole thing with this old woman and the mention of Heavenly Host bringing her a charm, knowing something was going to happen to her. So that is very interesting that she's kind of had an experience, it seems like, with Heavenly Host before. So I'm interested to learn more about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and stay tuned next week for part 6. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Nana, Sparky, Dumbass Loser, Tequila Mockingbird, Punt Cake G, Joel Ostman, Harry Gazif, Asborn Kennedy, Icognito, Jared Fan, and Pirate.